longtime friend, Brother Professor Griff.
Okay, greetings, everyone. It's Professor Griff, of course. You all know me from the socially conscious, politically conscious hip-hop group Public Enemy, Minister of Information, and one of the co-founders of Public Enemy. And we start out in raising the vibratory pitch of our people's thinking into the mind of the Creator so we can move the collective family forward. I'm still on that mission. I want to thank everybody, whoever had their hand in it, more importantly, the Creator, for the Grammy that I just received for the Lifetime Achievement Award, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's a beautiful thing, but my work that's cool, but my work is in the street amongst our people. So I'm here to have this discussion with our good brothers so we can move this thing forward. And just note, the divinity in me salutes and celebrates the divinity in all of you brothers in front of me right now.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, brother Professor Griff from Chicago, J.R. Fleming. Please say a word, brother.
My name is Brother J.R. Fleming. Organizer, activist, businessman, hustler, and father. Most folks know me through my work in international human rights, in the housing world, actual tender world, and doing anything that got to do with economic development.
All right. From St. Louis, Brother Taft.
Peace. My name is Taft from St. Louis, Missouri. A lot of people may know me from the documentary Whole Streets, where he stood out in the streets for over 300 days after the pigs killed Michael Brown. A hip-hop artist, also signed to Tommy Boy, independent artist. And I was a United States cultural ambassador to the country of Jordan. And I do most of my work through the usage of hip-hop, just trying to get the pigs and this oppression up off of us and use our minds and create businesses and organizations that can address these issues.
Thank you so much, Brother Damon Dash.
Entrepreneur, started Rockefeller, state property, rockwear, movies, fashion, the whole nine. In this moment, I have a streaming service and a 24-hour television network that focuses on making us aware of who we are, our power, what happens when we get together, all the programming that's been put in front of us to make us think that we're free when we're really slaves, and what we need to do to move forward. In this moment, I put together a crew called the Commission, Senator Eddie Milton, Congressman Andre Carson, Bishop Pernell, Dr. Chris Pannell, therapist Taj, and a host of others, OSG, 90 Black Principles, with Dennis McKeezy. They're actually meeting right now. What I'm trying to do is make a new curriculum. I feel the education that's been put in front of us, being that I went to school, didn't do anything for teaching us how to be entrepreneurs, how to vote, how to farm, the things that we need, how to pay taxes, how to be, just to take care of your family. And I just think it's time for us as Black men to understand what our roles are and what our job is and what it really means to be a Black man. It means to take care of people you love and make sure the people you love don't have to go through the same things that you got to go through.
The panel as brothers are going to work it out. And one of the things that people have done in this last 4 years is often forgotten about Black men. A lot of people don't realize this, but the most important constituency to the Democrats in 2016, the most loyal were Black women, of course. They voted 98% for Hillary Clinton. But people don't know Black men weren't far behind. Our numbers we voted 80% for Hillary Clinton. Now, that 14 percentage point difference, that 18 percentage point has been regarded as significant. And obviously, the Democrats have been a good time supporting and, great. Black women, we all support that. We're all sons of Black women, and we are fathers of Black daughters. And it's wonderful that Black women have been given their due. But it's not insignificant that Black men voted more for Hillary Clinton than white men, who only voted for her 32%, white women, who only voted for Hillary Clinton 45%, or Hispanic men voted 65% for Hillary Clinton, and Hispanic women 67%. And yet all of these groups, Latinos, white women, white men have all been prioritized more than black men. It's as though the Democrats forgot that we were there. What does that say to you in these waning days of the campaign? What in the streets of Chicago, St. Louis, Atlanta, New York, what are black men saying with respect to this election? And what are the issues that they're concerned about? Whoever wants to jump in.
Well,
Jump in.
the average black man is concerned about surviving and staying alive. And it don't matter what president is in there. You know, I'm not depending on and never have depended on the government to take care of me. I don't think my oppressor is going to help me. So I just think we're not even programmed to understand politics where it's important. Like, you know, we didn't lose, you know, Hillary lost by electoral. It wasn't by popular vote. We need to know that some black people, whoever has to focus in Philly and Florida, we need to focus on where to get people to vote. But I just think black people in general are like, yo, I got to survive. And they're not worried about who's going to take care of them. They're going to take care of themselves, even if that's going to put them in jail.
Mm-hmm. Brother Griff, what about that? Black men seemingly didn't matter to the Democratic Party.
I don't think black men matters to Democratic Party or the Republican Party. I don't think black men come up on this above the radar or even on their radar until a crime statistic has to be put out for them to use that as a point in their platform to gain some votes. But I think Dane was absolutely correct. Until we educated about the Electoral College, until we educated about the political process, black men will always be the last on the totem pole. Until we, even if we do vote, that segment of us that do vote, until we call those particular candidates on the platform and hold them accountable for those things that they claim that speak to our needs and they promised us, they will forever be in this percentage bracket or where they place us. The average talk in the barbershop, like Dane said, we're trying to survive. We don't care which white man is in the White House, which white woman is in the White House. Black men are trying to survive to figure out how they're going to take care of their family. And a lot of times, brother, we don't see it from the top down. We see it from the streets up. So we have to hustle. No, I'm sorry, Dane. What you saying?
No, just to build on that, I just wanted to say that.
Dame, I'll come right back to you. I'm finish that last point, Griff, then I'm coming to JR and Tough, and then I'll come back around.
5 seconds. If we have to start from the streets up, we hustle to get it, we grind to get it, we have 2 jobs to get it. However, we got to get it, we have to get it. And the vote is probably the last thing, Brother Conrad.
And Brother Fleming, we just heard Larry Hoover's son, and a lot of people didn't understand this when Brother Kanye met with Trump. He was castigated, but it was very clear that he was advocating to the president to get Larry Hoover released. Tip O'Neill said all politics is local. Kanye's from the Chi. He's not stupid. But I asked you, you're in Chicago. You've had a rash of killings. You've had many who even said that the last administration, President Obama, who came from Chicago, did not give the attention to black folks in Chicago. But black men are at the bottom of the totem. But what are they saying on the south side? What are they saying on the west side of Chicago?
So thank you, bro. Man, so let me just say this. So I do human rights work. I have to work with everybody, Republican, Democrat. I was fortunate enough to work with President Obama administration, and particularly her leadership, right? Not work for the government, but advocate for us to get what we call these Section 3 dollars, a federal law that says that any money that comes to public housing, 25% of them contracts come to the people from that area, right? We're talking about billions of dollars. And so when President Obama was in there, you know, we got what we got, which is not a lot. Under President Trump, same thing. So like to Dane and Professor Griff point, to us it don't matter. But what is the street saying? We know what we got to do. We know what we should have been doing. You know, I spent almost 6 years of my life protesting for social and cultural rights and end up back into Bernie Green fighting for contracts and opportunities, right? And we know no matter the administration, we got work to do. In order to get these contracts, we got to develop businesses. And so to credit Larry Hoover, where a lot of people won't do it, I'm going to say this, I'm a product of Larry Hoover, right? Mm-hmm. I'm a product of Bobby Gordon Vice Lord, right? About the family ties, right? I'm a product of my environment. I grew up in Cabrini Green. You know what it was in the 90s? One of the worst neighborhoods to live in America. 24/7 gang banging, right? So I lived on the front line of that and survived that through a Larry Hoover vision, right? We knew about economics, so we came back and organized with our former leaders, the guys coming home, you know, and we going out to contracts and opportunities by helping brothers develop business. You know, we got a lot of leaders who lost through the 90s who are now coming home. If you take a look at a lot of these people who fell victim to President Clinton, Omnibus Bush crime deal, right, that locked a lot of them up, right? If you pay attention to individuals who coming home 25 years later, right? Citizen, right? You will see what these gentlemen are doing from the feds and state penitentiary. They're setting up security companies. They're setting up systems, right, to employ our people. So we realize ain't nobody going to employ us, be it a Republican administration or a Democratic administration. You know, they already got their ties to the union and everybody. I'm not sugarcoating, right? Black men have suffered in Chicago. We can't get into the union if you ask fellas, right? You can't get this. You can't live in public housing. So we had to work the things in politics, right? Our focus is the same. You know what I'm saying? Build up our community investment fund amongst ourselves, establish these businesses that can contract, hire our own people, stay focused. Whether it's coronavirus, all that taught us was, okay, we need to build recession and pandemic-proof businesses now that can participate. How can we be the PPE distributors, right? So we working on a different mindset, you know, because young people real quick, we see our young people ain't protesting like us, right? They looting. You shoot, they loot, right? This is our slogan. You shoot, they loot. Ain't no protest. You know what I'm saying? They take it. They survive it. That's survival mode. All this looting and that's survival mode. So we as men in the community are stepping up, coming together. So shout out to our leaders. You know,
we'll come back around because I think you raised some important points. A lot of the Italians who have felonies, the young Italian guys in places like Brooklyn and Chicago, they go into the construction trade and security trade because a lot of avenues are closed to them. But down in St. Louis, tough folk, when you talk about young black men in the streets of St. Louis, is it that for the Democrat Party, black men have been so low on the totem pole that we are not even counted? What are the brothers saying on Page, and what are the brothers saying Kings Highway and all of these places? What are you hearing? The tough part? Okay.
I'm here. I lost you for a second. But y'all, you was naming them streets, right? It's my internet started tripping. You was Page and all that. Man, the main thing they stand in the streets is they tired of having to save the rich, be they black or white. They tired of having every 4 years we had these mock political revolutions where the Commonwealth from both sides of the ball come together and ask the niggas that ain't got to go do what we got to do to make sure that they have tomorrow. So basically, that's the conversation. We realize that both sides are two oligarchical parties, and niggas gonna have to do what they gotta do regardless. So it doesn't matter who sits in the White House because it's all monopolized and set up for the poor to protect the rich.
David Dash, you have had an extraordinary experience because not only have you come from the streets of Harlem, but you've also been in corporate suites, and you built a tremendous company, but you got conscious and aware of independent black business in a way that has closed some doors on you. As you look forward, and as you look at this next administration, what is your advice to black brothers in terms of those with Harvard degrees, law degrees, as well as the brothers who have been incarcerated? What's your plan? What is your view of how we can empower ourselves, since we seem to be being ignored by the power structure?
Well, number one, I'm the power structure. Nobody closes doors on me. I close doors on them. The narrative has to change. I'm not sitting here waiting for nobody to accept me, acknowledging me. They lucky if I acknowledge them. That's the way I've looked at it. No doors have been closed on me. Actually, they've been open. The doors that I closed were the ones where I'm oppressed. You manipulate my culture, make money off my dysfunction, and then you laugh at me. But what I did was I called all those white people out by name and made sure that people knew exactly who they were, like wanted signs on the back of a milk carton. Watch this guy by name. So the difference is we're programmed to fight each other, to take away the attention on who's oppressing us, and to think that we need to be acknowledged by them, that we need to fit into them. And what you have to understand about politics is this. Most laws were passed over 100 years ago. That means most laws were made by criminals, people that had slaves. So why do we still listen to laws that were made by slaves intentionally to make us think we're free when we're not? So I don't listen to those laws. I keep it legal, but I'm not trying to fit in. I'm not trying to be acknowledged. I'm not expecting my oppressor to give me any, like, you know why no Democrats acknowledge black people? Because there ain't no black people there. Why would somebody acknowledge us if we're not fighting to be acknowledged? But who wants to be acknowledged? We need to make a statement. We don't need y'all. We need us. We need to stick together. And my plan is to make everybody a partner. Teach them not how to survive, but how to actually eat the food they kill and have enough to make sure their family lives good. So I eat the food I kill in luxury, and I'm a different kind of breed. I'm a different kind of animal. You know, I don't think it's bad to pay your bills, but while you're paying your bills, don't worry about what people think. Put your money into your future and think about the people you love. And if you're not fighting for the people you love, you're fighting for the wrong reasons, period. So I'm not trying to fit into this system. This system ain't for us. I'm not waiting for them to give us anything but enough for us to survive and still be backpedaling. The education is taught that way, the rehabilitation, the unrecognized trauma, all of it. I'm done with all of it. We'll do it ourselves. I'm not expecting them to do nothing for us. And another thing I don't like, which I think is really the worst thing for us, the trauma that we have, is that we think that God is white as soon as we're born. The interpretation of God, Jesus, is a European interpretation. The name is Joshua. Nothing in the Bible happened in Europe. So why do black people call that man Jesus? Why? And his name's Joshua. Why do we follow a European interpretation of the name? That's why we think we're number two. If you come in the world thinking that God is white, then you always going to think they better than us. And that's a program. Who gave us that? Our oppressor. Who gave us this name to say? Our oppressor. Who says it the most? Us. Now, if you call God by the wrong name, how's he going to give you a full blessing? If somebody's calling me Damien and my name is Damon, no matter what they saying nice, I'm going to be aggravated. It's a plan.
Well, there's no question about that. And we thank God for people like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, Dr. James Cone, who taught us that we should not be sitting around all black folks in a black church or mosque or any other religious institution with a white image of Jesus. And yes, as you correctly said, Jesus was born in Asia. He grew up in Africa. He never, ever went to Europe. So all of that's right. I agree with you on that.
But why we still call him Jesus? Why we don't call him Yahshua?
Well, that's okay. Well, we have a theological panel. We talk about that. But let me throw this out because you raised some important points. Because what you're really talking about is us being able to name and to set our own agenda. And all of you here have established yourself. All of us have worked in the black world. All of us have worked to make things better for black people. But the fact of the matter is, and whoever wants to jump in, we live in our local communities. We live in the United States of America. It is a democratic political system. All groups participate in the political process. Orthodox Jews, I've run for office in Brooklyn. You got to go talk to the rabbi. And when he decides who they're going to vote for, he's going to tell all his people to vote. Secular Jews, Italians, Catholics, Latinos. So I'm saying that, yes, the system has not produced for us the way it has produced for others. But I admire Brother Hoover because of this growth and development program, running my friend Gator Bradley and others for office. It says that we know we live in this system, so we've got to get involved in it, even at the local level. We keep doing this, but it seems as though we vote the wrong people in office. If we could ever vote people in office that are strong, then we could make the system yield for us. It does it at the local level. There are many cities. Ras Baraka, Newark, New Jersey, is doing that.
He's doing his thing.
Of Amiri Baraka. But there are examples.
And the mayor in Mount Vernon, she's doing her thing too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My old home, Mount Vernon, New York, where Ernie Davis was the man. But what did
First
we say
black
to
woman.
the brothers? What do we say to the brothers who are disenfranchised and they're playing checkers, and Mr. Hoover and others are playing chess in terms of understanding why we should participate in the political system? How do we get them, not giving them the script and telling them they got to vote for the Democrats as though their life depended on, but to get them to understand this system can yield something for us. Not everything, but it can yield something. How do we reach that, brother? I want to come to JR first, and then anyone else can jump in. How do we reach that, brother?
Well, it's like you said, you know, you had to have a brother like, again, shout out to Honorable Chairman David Hoover, who believed in vision, right? Political, economic, and things of that nature, right? And the man who followed him, everybody want to dope deal in the gang banger, right? Someone was just lost trying to find our way in the world that didn't care, right? So to that vision, we said that if we set up our own structure, shout out to the Hip Hop Congress, Hip Hop Action Network, Hip Hop Political Convention. We once had a body that could organize a vote around these ex-offenders, the hip hop community, the disenfranchised, the voice of the voiceless, right? We had these bodies. I think when black men come back together like that, and this is telling the gang stuff, all of us, right, to bring that back together, you know, then we'll be a force to be reckoned with. Then we can move and go change policy. You know what I'm saying? Because I've done policy on the federal and state level, right? Whether it was with a diverse group of folks who's organized around housing or criminal justice reform or human rights. So to the vision of people who can work in a collective, you have success. That's what Larry Hoover told us. You know, and when you do that, you build that base, you then one a gate of gravity. And that's why I want to say shout out to, you know, two leaders in our committee, you know, Mr. Grant and Mr. Nancy, you know, two former Gangster Disciple governors who now work in the construction world. They participated in tearing down the community. Now they, how do I say it? They building it up through security companies, these guys contracts. Now they moved into the political realm. That means like Chelsea, I don't the world know me. I'm going to go to the White House. I'm coming with a bullhorn and thousands of people. I don't give a fuck who in the head of your corporation. Negro, Latino, white person, gender. I don't care if you ain't white, child, people, we coming, right? So we as the street begin to organize and realize whether it's our voting block, the power of our black dollar, right? How we practice and discipline who we spend our money with, right? All that is a choice that we made to come back together. We call it like a division, you know what I'm saying? The brothers are going to follow this vision to make sure we get somewhere that we ain't been yet, or we have instances of it. We have our success stories in the game dashes, right? The Professor Griff and Captain Real, right? His switch up after 20, 30 years, right? They depend on nobody to build up their empire. You feel me? And shout out again, Dane, for saying that. Shout out to talking about the Commonwealth, right? We the people have a responsibility, right? And that's what we own in the streets of Chicago. Despite the violence that they portray, let's talk about the real issues of why our people are violent like this. It's not that they're unemployed, they unemployable. You kick them out of school, right? Come on. They take it as you destabilize their household. You need a stable household, right? By tearing down a project to learn, you know what I'm saying? You created the conditions, right? 10 years, 20 years ago. That's the problem. Our solution was, how can we do something about this problem, right? So we began to focus on housing, right? To get that stability. We took over housing. That's how we got famous. When a housing crisis happened, after fighting for public housing, I didn't go why. I looked at Mr. Hoover Vision and other visions of the Moors, right? Different black folks. And I said, look, folks been taking over housing all these years in America. What if we black men, street tribes, come together, take over some vacant houses, fix them up, move homeless women and children in? You feel what I'm saying? What would that look like when they put somebody out, we put them back? What do we get gangster with them? And so we learned from that 10 years ago, 12 years ago, the Occupy movement. We learned and moved on, right? And we stand in the vision, build our businesses up, then we got our money, right? Then once we do that, build up our political power, then you know what I'm saying? Now we got our power. You know what I'm saying? Once we got our money and our power, they gonna respect it. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say I support anything with Macari when they say money, power, respect. But you gotta have a structure to get there. And the street tribes often that's one, bro. That's one. When we get back to organizing in the streets, gonna be all right, like we are at the British in Chicago.
All right.
Professor Griff, I'm going to throw this out to you, and all of you can dive in. You know, one of the issues that has hurt the Black economy, and this is very important when you talk about our communities and the level of violence that exists in terms of Black on Black violence. Many people who open businesses in our community, the number one fear of Black people of opening businesses in their own community is a fear that somebody's going to come in with a shotgun and put their wife and children on the floor and try to rob them or follow them home and kill them. How can we begin to speak to our brothers to say, if we're going to have money, many of our brothers can't go into corporate America. I was talking to a brother the other day. He said, even the brothers with Harvard law degrees, they're not hiring. They're not. So it's clear to us that we're going to have to do for self. We've had enough great leaders to teach us that. How do we create a security model and respect in our community where we understand that every time we rob our own, tear up our own, it furthers that empowerment that we're talking about? Because we got to be able to have businesses, people doing business, our people that are safe in our community. Professor Griff, weigh in on that, and Tef Poe and Dame too, come in on that.
Well, let me say this. I think Dame struck a nerve when he said these laws that we're kind of up under right now were created about 100 years ago. Let's look at who we were, what our condition was, and as far as politically back then. And I think JR, basically, he struck another nerve of mine when he was talking. Because I said to myself, how do they make us think that they're supposed to respect the Black vote when they don't respect Black people, period? You don't respect Black lives, but you respect Black votes. That's a big, gigantic political contradiction to me. Do you understand what I'm saying? So now, but if we was to have these political education classes to educate, like JR said, from the grassroots up, I think people can understand if we put what Dave Dad said on the table, as far as understanding the law. That's that. Now, to the question that you asked me, I don't think Black businesses, I'm not concerned about somebody running up in my spot. My family, we own 2 bonding companies downtown Atlanta. We get all kind of people out of jail. I was responsible for the fugitive recovery unit. I would track down people and I wouldn't rearrest them, Brother Conrad. I'd sit down and try to understand, what is your financial need? That same brother going back to jail is not going to be able to provide for his family. But yet when he do go out, come back out of jail in that revolving door, yeah, he gonna pick up his shotgun, bro. Because all the other avenues for him to make money are closed. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm saying to you, what is wrong with the political education class? If JR said they created the condition, if Dave said that we're up under a set of laws that's from 100 years ago, how is any Black man supposed to see his way through that in order to feel important enough that his vote is going to count in the end? He don't even feel like his vote is going to count. So when we take out this aggression, Brother Conrad, we end up taking it out on the self. Right. Instead of sitting back, sitting quiet, and analyzing this whole thing, it says, what is my best avenue? What is my best route?
And that's a program. Not to interrupt you, but that's a program. They make us do that time and time again. It's great. It's genius. We're just dumb for going for it. We should not be fighting each other.
Yeah, because ultimately, and I want Chuck Poe to come in, because ultimately, if what you're saying is true, and I know in many ways it is true, but it's also counterproductive and it further sets us back. When you look at St. Louis, and same is true of Chicago, same is true in many cities. New York is a little bit different, but there are large stretches of the community where there is no enterprise, no exchange of capital, no Black businesses. Ultimately, we've got to solve that puzzle. How do we get the young brothers to understand that when businesses exist in our community, Black folks doing business in their community, that ultimately helps to lead us out of the situation that we're in?
Well, I'm going to go back to the Commonwealth, man. I'm a big fan of Paid in Full. When the movie Paid in Full dropped, I watched that movie 100 times back to back, over and over and over. I analyzed this movie. I studied this movie. I tore it apart and repackaged it. I watched the documentary. Now, what did I learn from this? I learned that if I'm not a part of the commonwealth of the society, then why should I give two shits about the commonwealth? If I'm not having the same experience that you're having, if I'm not partaking in the luxury, if I'm not partaking in the big balling and the champagne caviar and the good times, if I'm not making it rain, and if I'm not with you fucking on the bad and all the luxurious good times that y'all having in this thing called America, in terms of how the society functions, and if you got it, you get to participate, and if you don't get to participate. So when you bring a business to the community, I don't care about your business if we're not all participating in the good times. If I'm not eating when you're eating, you can't come to me and be like, whoa, I'm trying to protect my food. And that's what happens a lot of times in the Black community. We bring these businesses that we have an area in my community called Cherokee Street, for example. And they're trying to like monopolize it with all these businesses. They slapping all these businesses in the area. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. But 10 years ago, we couldn't walk down the street without our pistols. You feel what I'm saying? Now that y'all bring these businesses here, that don't mean Shorty ain't behind the block giving head for $35 a pop. That's still happening. This is still the ghetto. Just because you started a burger joint don't mean this ain't the hood. We selling crack out here, fam. The government dumped it here. That's your prerogative. You brought your business to where the savages dwell. So you need to understand how the savages dwell. We roll according to a different politic out here. So I say that to say that, no, I don't feel that the violence that happens to Black businesses is necessary. But what I am saying that the realities exist for the people who don't have, and we consistently want to overlook that part of the scenario before we jump into the fray and discuss this. I'm a business owner myself. I got multiple businesses in some of the most treacherous places in St. Louis. My shit don't get robbed. Why? Because I actually go out there and break bread with the community. When they feel a way about something, I feel a way about something. When they want something to be addressed, I address it. When Shorty need a job, I'm giving jobs. If they say, hey, Tef, we feel a way about what you did, I can go have a real conversation with them. I don't treat the people in the community like they're the proverbial other just because I got a little bit of money.
Right. Well, let me just say this, and I'm going to come to Damon Dash because I know that he and many others in the hip-hop industry, and I'm glad you recognized there was a mindset, and what Brother Tef Poe just described, no doubt, is a mindset of young people that anybody with $2 over them, even hardworking Black people, have something that they have the right to take. Which, of course,
well, I don't think it's the right to take. I'm not saying it's the right to take. I don't think they think it's the point. No, but I have a problem with that part. I don't think they think it's the right to take. I think that they feel
right back. My point is this: there are a lot of Black folks who have worked hard, who say you're not going to take nothing from me. But the point is, we can't function and exist in a community where people feel like somebody in the community trying to build a structure of business is enjoying something other than hard work that they're not enjoying. Damon Dash, you know that when you build a business, it's not glamour. It's not, you help young people learn about balling, et cetera, but you know you work harder than you played. How can we get brothers to see that life is 90% work, 10%, 20% balling, but mostly hard work? And we got to learn to respect that work ethic and respect people who build businesses, and not come to the conclusion that because someone has a business that they go to work in every day, that they are depriving you of something. Come on, talk about that, Dame Dash.
Well, I'm a firm believer of leading by example. So I showcase everything that I do. That's why I have a television network to reprogram the programming, to give you a pattern of what it means to have ownership. Now, what you have to understand is the way we're educated, nothing in school teaches us to own anything. It teaches us how to work for somebody or how to be an athlete, and that's the only way you'll get out of these. So actually, work doesn't get you out the social class in school. It just makes you survive. But the only way you get out of that social class is to be a basketball player, which is provided for you. But I just wanted to touch on the point that in school, like everyone said, like JR said, like Professor Griff said, they're not teaching us about laws, how to lobby, and how to pass them. And that's intentional. And that's the reason why when you say, how come we're not voting for the right councilman and this, that, and the third, it's not a language that any of us speak. Most politicians learn how to be politicians on the spot. They didn't go to school for it. And I think that's intentional. The only way to change a law is to lobby and get it passed. If you can't be a congressman, a senator, or a president, you're worthless if you can't get a law passed. It's not taught, period. Now, to the questions you were asking, again, the leading by example. I think entrepreneurs do understand how hard it is. But what you have to understand is when everybody's broke, all that shit goes out the window. Survival skills kick in. And if you're going to go into somebody's neighborhood, no matter what you're doing, whether it's illegal or not, you cannot go on somebody's block and start hustling if you're not from there and not break bread with everybody on the block. So what I do is what I was saying. When I'm going to go on an unfamiliar block, I'm going to make sure everybody get money, or else I'm going to just be aggravating everybody. And that's human nature. And what happens is, again, we have a lot of unrecognized trauma, a lot of internalizing, and we do a lot of overcompensation on people that don't deserve it because of the things that we're aggravated about. You know, and I want to say this one last thing. The way to battle racism is to have money, right? I literally just had to kick somebody. The way you kill racism, this happens. You don't like me in your house because I'm black. I buy the house. I kick you out, period. I'm not asking for you to let me in and take all your girls and take all your money. You're not going to do it. I'm stronger than you. I'm quicker than you. The only way that you can survive around me is for me to think you're stronger than me. But once I realize I can snap your neck, I snap it. And that's what they're scared that we know. But we do know this. We know it now, right? This thing about us fighting each other, that's a program. We know this. Us not knowing how to pass laws is a program. Us being provided only something that doesn't work for us, making us sit in something that looks like a jail for 8 hours a day when we're kids, away from our parents. And they actually make jails based on how many kids can't read and who doesn't graduate. It's a business. It's a program. But I'm going to use my platform to make it cool to be savvy about also health, what you put in your body, because that's what's killing us more than anything right now. I got more friends because I'm older. I'm 50. My friends survived the illest shit. They dying from a cheeseburger. You know? So no one's teaching us about growing food, how damaging that is to us. You know? No one's teaching us about taxes, because think about this. Most motherfuckers don't even know how to have money or the problems that come with it. They don't even teach you that. They don't even teach. I didn't know what it was to have $1 million legal. I had to learn. That's what I had to learn the hard way. Is taxes, and that if an accountant gives you bad advice, whether you pay him $1 million or not, you're accountable. They didn't teach me that. They didn't teach me to plan quarterly profit and loss and all that other shit. I learned that on my own. School was life. But the thing is, I learned it fast. I got hip to the game. I've had a better car since I had a better car than my principal when I was 16. I never listened to my principal. I listened to whoever was going to teach me how to get money. So the only thing that would make sense to make us stop fighting, teach us how to get money. And that's all I've been doing. Because that's what's going to make us stop fighting. Lack of money is what makes us fight.
That's a good point. And I appreciate that. But I want to just come back for a second to Teppo. Then we got some questions from the audience. You know, the fact of the matter is, and this is a realistic point, you know, most men in our community will not become rich. That's just a fact. Most Americans will not become rich. So when people see a Damon Dash or a Jay-Z, that is a rarefied segment of the population. And so we can't create a vision for our men that until I can get rich and pop bubbly and make it rain, we've got to help our brothers establish a life of dignity, be able to take care of their families. And sometimes that's being in the middle class. Sometimes that's being in the working class. That's where our grandfather... Let me just ask, you're an entrepreneur. You know, isn't it important to teach those brothers how you build those businesses from the ground up, and that you don't get rich making the business all the time, but sometimes you make a living?
I do it every day. I teach them every day, but they don't listen.
I fear that some things I said may have been mistranslated. So it was a hip hop format. So I'm talking about the balling and all of that because I'm a young black man and I'm being real and I'm being honest about what's real. When I talk to the kids in my community, they don't see doctors. They don't know LeBron James. They're never going to meet him. We're from the slums. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. Right across the river, it's a 1% employment rate. I have no delusions of grandeur about capitalism. I know that capitalism is attached to slavery, and I know that socialism is the theoretical social construct that we keep saying might work, but I haven't seen it work completely for the black man yet. So what I'm speaking for, I'm speaking real. I'm speaking as a person from the hip-hop generation who went to Harvard as a 3-time fellow, who went overseas to serve as a hip-hop ambassador, and I still got to come home and tote a pistol because I'm not like most of these Negroes who jump on these panels and tell black people that we can save ourselves by becoming better landlords. So I'm actually living these experiences. So what I'm saying is I know that I'm motivated by seeing black men have a good time. Spaces of joy. When I watch Paid in Full, I'm seeing brothers experience a space of joy that the commonwealth of brothers won't get to experience. And sometimes we get entangled with a high aspiration to pursue that. And I'm not saying that that's the zenith of my pursuits, nor should it be the zenith of the community pursuits. But what I'm saying is that's realistically what niggas want. And if we keep on trying to say that it's not, then we're going to keep having these conversations. We're going to have to keep having these conversations that just ain't real. You feel what I'm saying? And then we have some people who come to the community and they wonder why their businesses don't get robbed and then why mine don't. Mine don't get robbed because I'm really in the community trying to affect the material circumstances of what we're going through. I don't have to look over my shoulders and be paranoid because they know I'm not jerking them off and here being pretentious about my aspirations, about what I'm here for. And until we get real about shit like that, then there will be a dividing line between even us as black folks, because in a capitalist society, you just can't narrowly define everything according to black and white. We got this new leftist bourgeoisie blackness thing going on that wants to hyper-define blackness but don't define it at all. And the niggas in the hood don't even know what y'all talking about half the time because we don't even know if we're incorporated in that blackness or if we're excluded from that blackness. We just know we the first black Negroes to get locked up. We do the looting, we start the revolutions, and then they bring the nonprofit sector here and build it on our backs and give all these vacuous donations to all these organizations that we'll never see. So I'm speaking for them right now.
That's right.
I understand. As a black minister that served in Harlem, Bedford-Stuyvesant, through Roxbury and Flatbush, I agree with you, okay? But let me say this to you. We're in an election year. All of you have said, and it's true, that we don't understand the political process. Any law you want, you've got to get it through Congress. Congress makes the law. So we can ill afford to stay out of the political process. And so what have you heard? We're in an election year. 5 days from now, or less than 5, we'll be going to the polls. Have you heard anything from either candidate to address the racial wealth gap that exists in our community? Between the haves and have-nots. Have you heard anything?
Let me add on to that. If you a felon, 2-time felon, sitting at home watching Kamala Harris and this other gentleman, right? Mm-hmm. What can I possibly hear? I think if we took the approach that these other 3 brothers only are saying, if we took it and understand it and said to myself, as a 2-time felon, let me go support something local. You understand? So I can feel part of it. Maybe I can be a part of it and feel like I'm being counted. Listen, man, let's not play games with one another on here. And I want the audience to know this. This whole political voting scam and what it is a dog and pony show, man. They already know who's going to be the president. But what we going to get out of it? That's the question we need to be asking. What are we going to get out of voting for either candidate? Ice Cube putting something on the table. I've seen black people disrespecting the brother. I'm like, wow, all the brothers doing is putting something on the table to force these 2 candidates to either speak to our wants and our needs in the hood that Tech is talking about. Speak to what JR is talking about in reference to what we want. We're the ones with our finger on the pulse of the black community, not them.
So let me ask that question because Jr. Cook County is a very important county because see, black folks don't just talk politics in Chicago. That's a way of life. What people don't understand is in places like Chicago, black folks actually are empowered. That's why two of the most significant African American candidates to run for president have come from the South Side of Chicago. Jesse Jackson and Barack Obama. Couldn't have happened other places. Couldn't happen in Harlem. Couldn't happen even in Atlanta with all that history of black empowerment. So, but the point is, yes, we've seen black empowerment in Chicago, Cook County, and other places, but we still have this tremendous underclass that are not being lifted up. But have you seen? You know, we can't ignore the process. Have you heard anything from either candidate that speaks to that issue of the issues that concern black people in Chicago, Metro Chicago?
So in all,
hey, listen, I'm asking you all to step out there and say, well, right.
They feeling right now. Look, y'all feel it. I believe it right. I told you I work with both administrations. You know, it is what it is. People put something on the table called the platinum plan.
No, it's a contract for Black America.
That's right. It's a contract with Black America, right?
Right.
Carter tried to put that on the table with President Obama. You know, I was in the book, the rich and the rest of us, all of that, right? Carter tried to do that, right? With the poverty school, right? So the Democrats and Republicans both, right? They had a chance to speak to this issue of the racial wealth gap. They had opportunity to speak to the issue of a larger racial wealth gap because if the pandemic didn't hurt the black community businesses, right? If Lil Ray Ray running in there with the pistol up on you, didn't rob your business, didn't hurt you, right? George Floyd riot did, right? So our businesses never recovered. So what black people on the ground want to hear is what's in it for black people, we say. You got this slogan, what's in it for black people, right? What's in it for the guy who's unemployable, right? What's in it for the guy who can hire the unemployable guy, right? So you hear two messages in Illinois, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Democratic city, Democratic county, Democratic state. We go Republican when we trying to make a point, right? To people who forgot what they were putting in office for, right? That's why you have a Republican governor, a Democratic governor. That's why you have a toss-up in these mayorships, right? And at our county president. We have structures. The young ain't asked for the power. We got it now. I'm 47. We got that power. You know what I'm saying? We launched the hip-hop generation with our vote. We know our power. Our people in office. So when we listen to the street saying enough is enough, today, downtown, we going to loot all them stores. Tomorrow's going to be my problem. Do something while it's downtown Chicago, you know, to your point, before we come home and start doing it. They hungry, bro. What you going to tell a hungry man not to do what he's trying to survive?
I don't think people really realize how hungry it is.
He's my children. You feel me? I'm 47, the father of 12. I got a couple sons who went to the joint. Not that I couldn't provide. I couldn't provide enough for them to provide for their story. Daddy got a human rights award. How did that feed them? Daddy out here protesting for everybody's rights. How did that feed us? And they see these nonprofits to test point. Come in and jack movement that the streets, Bloods and Crips created in St. Louis. The Bloods and Crips did it in Baltimore. The Bloods and Crips did it on the East Coast in the Carolina. But yet the powerful organizations end up with the money and not the streets who caused the revolution. They see it with their daddy, a street guy. You know what I'm saying? Who organized their day in Harlem Tenancy Unit, fought for public housing up there, New Orleans, St. Louis, everywhere. I didn't get the check from the nonprofits, the so-called left. That's what the Democrats do, right? The poverty system. Let's call it what it is. Poverty system, right? So you have the poverty system telling people don't create businesses. That's capitalism, right? Don't do this, don't do that. Hey, man, when the streets get tired like we did in Chicago, we get organized, right? We know what we as in the community must do. Bring back structure, right? You feel me? This pandemic showed us why we got to bring back structure. These our grandmothers who need that PPE. You feel me? The PPE. We got to make these businesses clean their doors and their stores, right?
Right.
But man, your boys sit down. You ain't got to worry about nobody getting robbed. You ain't got to worry about a lot of stuff. You know, it's time for us, man, to do business. We hate on anything like that so much. we forgot our responsibility to the block. It ain't the cops' job. It's the fathers, the uncles, the brothers, the cousins, right? It's the churches, it's the businesses' job to take care of the community. And until we do that, there will always be a crisis.
Brothers, we are out of time. But let me just say, I've heard so much that, yes, some of it's troubling, but there's great hope in it, because when I see the level of organization, when I see the level of independence in Professor Griff and Damon Dash, even through the frustration of trying to educate our people the importance, Brother Dash, of ownership and not being a slave and being free. When I see Brother Hoover go from GDs, master disciples, to growth and development and engage the political process, that's going to happen all over the country. And I think that's an inspiring note. Lastly, I want to say Q put forth a powerful agenda. And what I've heard today from you is that Black men are not afraid to talk to Democrats, Republicans, whoever's going to help us deal with this problem. We are not going to be on any plantation. So thank you very much, brothers, for this conversation, and keep doing the strong and powerful work that you're doing around the country. Thank you.
Love your brothers, man. Peace, man. All right, and
All right, y'all.
Let's connect. All of us. Let's connect.
If you want another amazing video with the one and only Dame Dash, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.